One night of kindness, one lifeless body. Questions hang in the air, but answers remain hidden. If you're new, welcome. Subscribe to Story Basket so you don't miss our stories. Now, enjoy One Night of Kindness.
It was a calm evening, the kind that left the air filled with the warmth of love. Tiwa kissed her boyfriend of 5 years goodnight, prying herself out of his embrace. She had to go to work, a night shift as a waitress in a club, the busiest in town. She adjusted her coat, ready to step into the night. Tedden sometimes saw her off a distance, but that evening he was gearing up for a football match on TV. "Be safe," he said in his usual soft voice, just as his phone rang. Who could be calling Teddan? Tiwa hesitated for a moment. Of course he had friends. They often called to chat. Before she disappeared down the dimly lit street, she glanced back once more to see him leaning against the doorframe, head bent, a foot drawing lines on the floor, limply. Something about his demeanor made her uneasy. The knock on her door the next morning came loud and urgent. Tiwa had just come out of the shower hoping to have a cup of tea and a 5-hour sleep after the usual grueling night shift. She blinked in confusion at the 2 police officers on her doorstep, their expressions grim.
Tiwa Solomon,
Yes?
you know Teddan Kessa.
Yeah. Is he in trouble?
We need you to come with us to his apartment. There has been an incident.
What incident? Is he injured? Oh God, please just tell me.
Madame, just come with us.
They led her into the police car. At Teddan's apartment, the scary yellow police tape cordoned off the entrance. She gasped, walking stealthily.
Please, just tell me what's happening. What's going on?
Tiwa clutched the arm of the officer nearest to her, looking for answers. They led her into the apartment without a glance. Inside, she saw Teddan trembling on the edge of an armchair, his eyes red and puffy. It was what she saw on the bed that made her blood run cold, Tiwa exclaimed in a loud whisper. On the bed was the lifeless body of a young woman, probably in her mid-20s.
What? Teddan? Who is she? How? I don't understand.
Unable to speak, she turned to the police officers she came with.
What's going on? Please tell me it's not what I think.
She's been identified as Ama Sesa. We need to take both of you in for questioning.
Tiwa looked from one face to the other. Then she turned to her boyfriend.
Teddan, you had a girlfriend this whole time.
No, Tiwa. This is a huge mistake. Please, don't judge me too soon. Please.
Tiwa felt like she had been punched in the throat. Not a word escaped her lips anymore. Years of nurturing a love affair she felt so comfortable in seemed to spiral downward in the blink of a moment. At the police station, Tiwa and Teddan were separated, each facing questions that felt like knives digging into their flesh. Tiwa's interrogation largely revolved around her relationship with Teddan. She guardedly released information. Teddan was originally from a neighboring country where he had completed his undergraduate studies before moving out to pursue a master's degree in health administration. After excelling during his internship, he was offered a position in the country and decided to stay. Their paths first crossed at a busy bus terminal. They found themselves scrambling for the same seat, their bodies nearly colliding as they reached for it. In a moment of chivalry, Teddan stepped back and offered the seat to Tiwa. They exchanged smiles, and that simple gesture kept her turning to glance at him. As fate would have it, they got off at the same junction and shared a laugh about the bus incident. Both 29 years old, they started a quiet and affectionate relationship. Although they were deeply fond of each other, they had not yet decided whether to take the next step toward marriage. Their bond was steady, built on mutual respect and shared dreams. Yet as Tiwa recounted their history during the interrogation, the weight of the morning's events swiftly cast a shadow over the memories of their happier days.
Did you know about Amma? I need a straight answer.
No. I had no idea he was bringing someone over.
You have a key to his apartment.
Yes, I do.
You might have come home that night and seen the girl with him, didn't you?
No. I wouldn't leave work unless there was an emergency. Wait. Are you seriously thinking I had something to do with this? That's absurd. I want a lawyer. Now. I'm not saying another word without one.
In another room, Tedan's voice trembled pitifully as he recounted his version of events, his eyes darting nervously across the room with an appeal to everyone to believe in his innocence. He met Amma just the day before at the hospital where he worked. She needed assistance with her documentation for a medical review. They exchanged phone numbers, which was nothing unusual since he had the contact details of many patients. Tedan paused, his hands shaking slightly. Last night, after Tiwa had left his apartment, Amma called him. She sounded desperate. She was stranded and had no money for a hotel. She begged him to spend the night at his place. Amma had added, if his wife would let her. He told her he had a girlfriend who had gone to work. He thought about calling Tiwa, maybe to ask her if Amma could stay at her place instead. He figured it was just for one night. He didn't think it would be a big deal. He would tell Tiwa in the morning anyway. The officer interjected.
Would you have told her? She worked a night shift and she only comes to your place after you had closed from work. Is that right?
No. She comes to cook before I close from work and leaves from my place whilst I am at home.
Still, she would not have known if you never told her. Now, have you ever had a friend or friends come over at night?
Tedan nodded, his gaze momentarily dropping to the floor.
Have you had girls coming over to spend the night?
No. Officer, I am telling the truth. It hurts. It really hurts to think that the one time I tried to help someone, I end up here, facing this?
Tedan lamented. But the police insisted he had been having girls over on the blind side of Tiwa. Tedan broke down in tears.
Now, how did she end up in your bed?
He gave her the couch in the living room. It was not ideal, but it was the only thing he could offer. Sometime during the night he stirred when he felt someone slip in beside him. He shifted over and drifted back into sleep. He woke up at dawn, stretching and yawning. Then he froze mid-motion, his eyes landing on the figure beside him. Amma. He scrambled out of bed to switch on the light. When did she join him? He called her name. There was no response. He leaned closer and gently shook her shoulder, calling her. Tedan's breath caught in his throat. He grabbed her by the shoulders, shaking her harder now. Her head lolled to the side and her hand flopped. A cold dread settled in his stomach. He knew what a dead body looked like. His thoughts shattered, unwilling to accept this fate about to drag him into the unknown. What had just happened? He fumbled for his phone and dialed emergency services. His voice was frantic as he tried to explain the situation. Seconds stretched into eternity as he waited in fear. As the magnitude of the situation struck home again, he placed a call to the police without hesitation. Within the next few minutes, his room was swarmed by police officers. Seated before the interrogators, his mind exploded in prayer to God to save him. He was in another man's land. He had no one to plead his case. This was a matter of death, and he was in grave trouble if all evidence should point to him, and if found guilty, he would be gone for life. He broke down in tears.
Please, just believe me. I swear, I had nothing to do with her death. I didn't know she would. She would die. I was only trying to help. I was just trying to be kind to someone in need.
The room was silent for a moment, his narration leaving more questions than answers. Was there more to the story than either of them was willing to admit? One night of kindness, one lifeless body. In part 2, the truth takes the stand. And not everyone will walk away innocent. Everything you thought you knew will be questioned. Don't miss it.